Welcome to another edition of our Seafood News Roundup presented by Urner Barry's Comtel. I'm your host and SeafoodNews.com editor Michael Ramsing, and this is our first report in the month of December, and have accomplished zero shopping for the upcoming holiday season. And aside from avoiding the mall, December traditionally marks the start to Dungeness crab fishing in the Pacific Northwest. And this is where we start today's headline news, since state officials in Oregon and Washington elected to delay the Dungeness crab fishing season for the second straight year. Like last year, domoic acid is behind the fishing delay, but unlike in 2015, recent tests are mostly showing far lower levels of the toxin in the crabs compared to last year's exceptionally high levels. State officials, however, are taking extra precautions this year in order to another round of testing before opening the fishery to commercial activity. California's Dungeness fishery did open on time in most areas south of Point Reyes, and crabs are now making it to local markets and processors, with dock prices settled at $3 per pound. In other news, lobster fishing in Nova Scotia opened a day late on November 29th because of inclement weather. The delay to the opener, best known as dumping day, wasn't very unusual since poor weather is a common nuisance in this fishery. In fact, processors and fishermen are not expecting a repeat of last season's near-perfect weather conditions. Prices are expected to dip below last year for several factors, but more clarity in the market is anticipated once some of the larger offshore vessels come in to unload. Rounding out today's headline news is how sluggish demand from U.S. buyers is weighing on offerings for headless shell-on shrimp from Ecuador. Urner Barry prices for 26 30-count shrimp continue lower this past week, reflecting a trend that is now established in both the Latin American and Asian white shrimp markets. There's a lot of shrimp in the U.S. market this year, with imported headless volumes up 2.1%. This suggests that U.S. buyers are flush with white shrimp at the moment. However, there's also a disconnect for weak spot offerings for shrimp in the U.S. market compared to higher replacement costs for the product coming from Ecuador and Asia. This sets up a very interesting dynamic for the first half of 2017 in the shrimp market, where despite strong U.S. demand for shrimp, buyers may achieve some pricing power over producers, meaning current replacement costs may not remain so firm into the new year. All of these stories, more daily news content, and weekly seafood commodity newsletters are available with a subscription to SeafoodNews.com. And as for today's top story, we return to Alaska, where the Pollock market has been weak this year. A stronger dollar, higher catches in Russia, and lackluster markets for Pollock roe have meant that the traditional Alaskan offshore sector producing frozen at-sea blocks and streaming has been struggling. Prices for Pollock blocks shipped to Europe have been dropping for 4 years. At the same time, new stock data from the Bering Sea now shows that the biomass allowable catch for Alaska pollock is up big time. But the Alaska fishery operates under a unique conservation regulation that caps the state's total groundfish removal from the Bering Sea at 2 million tons. This means the Alaskan industry is not likely to see a huge increase in the allowable catch, even though the biomass can support it. Meanwhile, the Gulf of Alaska's pollock stock is down a sharp 25%, which could offset any increase in the Bering Sea quota and the state's total pollock harvest in 2017. And that concludes our report, which was presented today by Urner Barry's Comtel. Gain access to the wholesale seafood industry's top platform for market quotations, news, and expert commentary. Traders in the wholesale seafood market make a better business decision every day when they use Urner Barry's Comtel. Remember, you can always tell us how we're doing on Twitter by tweeting at us at SeafoodComNews and at UBSeafood, and you can like Urner Barry and Seafood News on Facebook to learn more about what we're up to. You can also listen to Urner Barry on your mobile device through our Seafood News and Urner Barry Digest Market Podcast series. We just recorded a podcast talking about octopus prices and Gulf shrimp, so go check those out. For Urner Barry and Seafood News, I'm Michael Ramsing. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you all again next week.